What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Jet, back again with another video, this one being a little more holistic of the entire crypto space. And I've got some updates for you on some of our potential airdrops or protocols that we've been talking about. So stay tuned, and just remember, nothing I say is financial advice. And if you are interested in getting extra coaching support, guidance, and all that, we have a special YouTube membership called the Web3 Secret Society. Here's just a quick sneak peek of some of the things that you'll get out of it that some of our members enjoy, which is literally all the test nets that are active with all their full details. Sort of, you can scroll down this entire way and sort of see what's available, as well as all the channels where we sort of put all of our thinking caps together. Now, one of the things I do want to mention, and I thought I wanted to frame this video first, because I get a ton of people sending me DMs asking me questions around some BS tokens, because some amazing influencer said that this token was going to 100x. You know, I heard somebody tell me that Stride was going to go to $100, and let's just be honest here. When you hear these things, just remember, most people are only telling you things that will increase the value of their own bags. Crypto is a fantastic way for the regular person to make money. While it has gotten harder in most recent years, most people try to monetize their following and take advantage of the influence they have by telling people to do what they've already done so that they can get their value even higher. One of the things I do on this channel is I tell you guys, keep your eyes open. Even myself, just make sure when you're hearing what I say, think about it objectively and ask yourself, is this the right move for me? Take a look at all of those things. And I also, on myself, I hold myself to a very high standard. I am not in the habit of telling you guys to do things that I've done. In fact, I have told you on many occasions to sell tokens for things to sort of build your fundamental layer, even though that would bring the price down of the tokens I own. And I have been called stupid by people before because I say that. But I say it because I want to help you guys. And it doesn't help me to make you sort of jump into another token, which is a very small component of my portfolio that I've already gotten in very low, and that you guys jump into despite having your fundamental base layer built, which is what I want to focus on in this channel. Now, before we get into sort of all the big stuff, let me just remind you about Satoshi VM. And yes, I'm sure there'll be some stupid people who watch this after go scam, scam, shame, shame. Like, you know, when Cersei was walking down in Game of Thrones. And yes, there was some scandalous stuff that happened. But honestly, this is them sort of giving back. And by the way, they were sort of exonerated from the scandal. It had to do with their developers. But they are running a campaign where if you donate your TBTC, which is your faucet, your testnet, anything you've done, those wallets that had already participated, only those wallets are eligible. You don't have much time left. They are waiting to get to 500 TBTC. As you can see here, I've deposited 0.505 TBTC, which is like probably like 1,000th of the total amount that is available. And if you don't have it, because I heard some people say, hey, I didn't have it yet, they've actually put up their Discord TBTC faucet. So you've got some time, not that much time left, because I posted about this 2 days ago and it's risen about 300 TBTC. Go in Discord or go in the sort of links in the description, join the Discord and do that. And I don't care what you have to say about scam, shame, whatever. Yes, there was a controversy, but I'm here to make money and this is on the testnet. So if you want to take advantage of this opportunity to get some free SAVM tokens, then do it. One of the things I'm going to say is, just like influencers will try to like tell you to do stuff that benefits them, telling you to do this stuff clearly doesn't benefit me. I'm not affiliated with this protocol. I don't get a referral fee. There's nothing of the sorts. But people who would make you shy away from some of these things, they're also doing it so that they can make their bag bigger, which is why you'll see a bunch of nonsense on my YouTube comments saying, oh, it's too late to do this. You should buy into this other token or whatever. Guys, remember, people, this is a PvP game. Most people don't have ethics in this space. I'd say 90% plus of people who in this space don't have ethics, in the sense that they only want to help you after they've sort of made sure they're helped and making sure that they are going to make more from this than you. This is a zero-sum game, guys. There will be winners and there will be losers, and sort of my goal here is to make as many winners as possible. So that's the first thing I want to sort of reemphasize. Now, I want to also bring to your attention what I posted on Twitter yesterday called the Sunrise Journey. This is an NFT that you get for a relatively new bridge. It's been out for, I don't know, a few months. Few activities you've got to do. This cost me about $12-ish in gas fees. It really depends on how busy the Ethereum network is. So check Etherscan and check the gas. But this is a speculative bet. What I did was I did this campaign, paid the $12 to get sort of the bridging fees and the stable coin sort of bridged from one chain to Ethereum. And at the same time, I claimed the Retrobridge Sunrise NFT, which will reduce EVM bridging fees by 30%. This campaign doesn't last that long, so I made sure I got this, and I can potentially sell this for a pretty penny in the future. Remember, this is speculative, so we don't know what's going to happen. It is safe, and that's why I did it. And one thing I will tell you guys is a lot of what you do in airdrop farming is speculative. When you do it on the testnet, you're doing it at no cost to yourself but time. When you do it on mainnet, when you're doing gas transactions, of course you're paying something. You're paying some form of liquidity. You're paying some money in the transaction fees. So sometimes they don't amount to anything, right? Sometimes that happens. Like we saw this with Layer Bank. A lot of people who put their Celestia in didn't get rewarded. Some people did, right? So it really, really depends. The goal here is to cover as many bases that when you do get paid, you get paid big, okay? One more thing, and I sort of went through this morning on my sort of mobile device. If you have a Coinbase account, even if you don't, you can sign up for one and earn like $30 to $50 in reward dollars. They're paying people for sort of on-chain activity. You can make a bunch of fake wallets and do whatever they want to do. Take advantage of this, even if you've basically planned to spend $0 with them. It's not bad to sign up for an account. And just to prove it to you guys that I think this is a good deal for you guys, I am not including a referral link to Coinbase. Do this on your own sort of volition. But hey, free money is free money. And if you guys are going to sit there and grind on a testnet, you might as well take what is 100% free and definitively will get sent to you. Then all you got to do in Coinbase, and I don't have the app open here, is just swap it to whatever token you want and send it to your actual wallet, on chain, or send it to like a dummy wallet just to hold funds if you want to not have your ID or your identity associated with your wallet. I also told you guys I'll be very transparent today, right after the snapshot, which happened a few hours ago. I let the membership group know that I have officially withdrawn my STT token. So as you guys remember, the first day before the snapshot went live, I did a live stream. 20 minutes into that live stream, they did the snapshot. I got 35 Stride tokens. And every single day since, it's dropped significantly, despite me doubling my amount of STT. Right now, the TVL is sitting at 52 million STT, and I expect this to increase. Remember, 21 days from the start, we're going to see a massive inflow as people who had unstaked their TIA tokens with validators get access to it to bring it in. I was weighing the risks, as I've told you guys in the past, of how do I get out at the lowest cost to myself while maximizing the runway of Stride token. I believe right now and the next few days is optimal, because as this TVL increases, more and more people will jump out. And we also know like the Stride token is not going to be available for 6 months post your snapshot. So every single day, starting from day one, plus 6 months, you'll get your Stride token. But don't forget, Stride was sitting, around $1, 50 cents to $1. And a lot of people sort of got into it that cheap. And you think they're not going to be selling, taking profits off people, especially when they see that this is heavily farmed. It would be foolish to not think that. So I suspect potentially in 6 months, maybe the bull market changes things. But my conservative case for the Stride token price is, $1 to $2 once all of these farmed tokens hits the market. What happens after? Who knows? But I suspect with a ton of liquidity sort of jumping in, people will sort of get a really good deal. And that's why I've taken it out. In order to do that, I did pay a premium. I had to pay 1.1 Celestia tokens to lose that. So I paid about $22. And in exchange, I have earned 76 Stride tokens that I get in 6 months. That is my sort of net result from this gambit. Now, the reason I did it today was I felt like the longer we took, the higher that premium would be, and I would start seeing this separation get even bigger. So I wanted to get out ahead of it. I've let you guys know that was my intention. So this is not like a, oh my God, I can't believe the brown gent got rid of STT. No, I've been telling you guys this for a few days. Make sure you monitor that. If you're interested in doing that, all you got to do is go to the assets page on Osmosis Zone. Links in the description. Type in search STT. And as long as you haven't deposited it elsewhere, if it's free in your wallet, you can deposit it, click the button, and it will let you do that. If you've deposited on Demex Exchange, you have to withdraw it there first, so it's back in your wallet. Once you've done this deposit, you go to swap, and you literally pick STT on one side, and then you pick whatever you want. So you can pick TIA, right? So right now, if you change STT, 100 of it, you get 100 of it, you get 99.19. I expect that you will get less TIA for this as the demand for swapping out goes up. One more thing I want to talk about quickly before we talk a bit about Celestia. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about that in a second. I'm just going to move this to the back. So here's what I did with my Celestia tokens after I took it out. So as you guys know, in my last update, I mentioned that Prism had their validator. It finally went live, right? They were inactive for a bit. Now they're live. What I wanted to do was aim to have at least 100 TIA staked with a validator. So not staked with Milky Way, which is liquid staking, not staked with ST or Stride, which is also liquid. I wanted to have at least 100 staked here. Now, I understand many people can't do this. Try to at least aim for 35. If you can go higher than that, perfect. I expect Celestia to drive the majority of airdrop value coming forward. For those of you who even had one Celestia token, you are sitting pretty with over, what was it, like almost $7 times 205, like almost $1,500 just for staking one Celestia token. The AigenLayer airdrop is once again going to be significant. Once again, not just that, but also with Saga, and we're going to see much more. Celestia's modular technology is not just for IBC, it's for EVM, and it's significant, and this is why it is my primary thing that I'm looking into. I told you guys as well, and I'm going to show you, I was getting rid of other things that were just not worth it. So I have 303 tokens on this wallet. Not anymore. They've been en route to being unstaked. And the reason for that is I would rather focus on fewer tokens and make sure that the tokens I get into are the ones that I believe will get me the airdrops. Celestia is number one. If you don't have a fundamental base of Celestia, don't waste your time, in my opinion, having Kujira, Osmo, Atom injected. So make sure your Celestia bag is full. You got at least 35 staked with validators. Now, I understand if you have less, sure, so be it, because you can't get other things. But if you have the liquidity, if you can swap other things like on injective osmosis, my recommendation, not financial advice, is you have that there and go for 35.01 just because it's higher than the 35 threshold tier that AigenLayer was looking for. Now, I've chosen to do 101, and here's an example of why I chose my split. So it's not perfect, and in an ideal situation, you want to have at least 35 or the lowest, the highest threshold that we've seen so far was 35 as the lower tier. And that way, if one validator gets disqualified, you still qualify. So over here, I have 51 staked with Prism, 25 staked Cedo, 25 Nocturnal. It could have just been a simple 35 TIA across Nocturnal and staked Cedo, and the rest in Prism. But the goal here is if one validator fails me, in this case, like let's say something happens with Prism, so they're not qualified, then staked Cedo and Nocturnal would make up the difference for me and make sure I'm qualified at least at the previous things we've seen. That's why I would not recommend going 100% in just one validator, because you never know about disqualifying criteria. There could be something. Now, we do pick validators based on them being not in the top 20, ideally because of the extra bonuses, also not centralized exchanges. But who knows, right? It really, really depends, and it can be a crapshoot sometimes. So that's sort of how I do it. That's my number one pick. So if you haven't gotten your Celestia stuff in order, Make sure that's in order. Make sure you at least have 35 in a wallet, staked to a validator. What you do with Milk Tia and STTIA after that is up to you. I personally have 0 of each. Sorry, that's not actually correct. I have some Milk Tia on a few wallets elsewhere, but in my major wallets, I'm not looking at that yet until I see what they're doing with endpoints. The reason for that is they mentioned they are doing an amplification program, which means that the people who have a ton of Tia or MTIA staked or Milk Tia staked, they're going to get an even bigger amount of the points. So then when they convert points to Milk token, you'll get a smaller and smaller fraction. So let's see if it's worth it. Until then, I am keeping it like this. The next thing I mentioned that I think is very important is Dymension. Dymension is my number 2 now. It's actually overtaken Injective as my priority to stake. I believe that Dymension technology with their roll-apps, once again, will be the core focus here to help us, I stumbled over my words. I believe the Dymension technology is once again another one that is going to be leveraged not just in IBC, but in EVM, and I expect massive airdrops to come out of it. Now, I understand some of you are unfortunately, you missed out on the 205 Dymension tokens you got for staking Celestia. For those of you who've gotten that, I know your instinct is, hey, let me split it up and go 50, 50, 50. No, at least have 205 in here, because if I was a cheeky protocol, I'll go, well, are they loyal? Most people got 205 Dymension tokens from one Celestia. So until we see otherwise, if you've already got it, have a minimum of 205 in your wallet or stake to a validator. Once again, I picked Prism because they are so far being the most visible on what we get in what they call a stake drop. Now, here's the other thing I want to say. What Prism is doing and what I expect to see happening with other validators is other validators start also doing something similar. Then we can actually have a competition for where we stake with. Right now, prior to what Prism was doing, we looked at what was low commission, what was trustworthy, and sort of, not like top 10. But our money is worth something, and we can always change our minds and redelegate. So you see this redelegate button here. Something I do want to get across because it's come up a ton. Sometimes you can't redelegate. And here's why. When you redelegate for the first time with some of the tokens, for ease of simplicity, it goes to the new one. It shows you that you're redelegated to the new validator. However, it hasn't settled in the back. In fact, you are still earning rewards from the previous validator. They're just basically doing a transfer, because when you unstake, you actually get 0 rewards during that time period, the 21 days or 14 days if it's Osmo. When you redelegate, you keep the rewards from the previous validator, and they're working on the transition process for you. Until that happens, you can't redelegate again with those specific tokens. So that's why you'll get an error. So for those of you who've asked me, I've gotten it on Twitter and sort of YouTube comments. That's why the redelegation process sometimes doesn't work. But it's a very useful feature to have. Now, one more thing I will say here is I made the mistake of staking on their Dymension portal. If you haven't staked your Dymension there yet, I would recommend you stake with Kepler to make your life easier. The team has not made it. The team has not made it available for you to vote on governance on EVM yet. They tell you to sort of import your private key, which, by the way, I think is a horrible practice. You should never go and find your private key and then sort of paste it in something else, because that opens you up to getting hacked, especially if you're using a hardware wallet. Now, I got fortunate that my ledger actually detected my wallet address. So in fact, the wallet address you see at the top that ends with QI is also the wallet address that I see when I go to the top of this, click here, and click on Explorer. When I click on Explorer, it brings this up. It shows my OX style address and my DYM address. So they're both connected due to my ledger. I know some people have issues because their ledger has actually created their own Dymension address, and because of it is unable to bring up this EVM. So if you can avoid it, if you haven't staked already, sort of what you should do, click on this button, go to withdraw funds, and sort of send this to your Dymension address on Kepler in the IBC realm, and send it there, and then stake it over there. Now, just to sort of close the loop on Dymension over here, if you don't have enough, stake what you can, but focus as a priority on Celestia, then Dymension. Don't do anything else until you have those set, because all the other airdrops, I'm going to tell you about Osmosis. I had $500 in Osmosis. I got a $1 airdrop from WOsmo. I got a $10 airdrop from Sale. These are not what we're here staking for. In fact, if I take that money, if I, on the other wallets, and I had put it all in Celestia across a bunch of wallets, I'd have like $20,000, $30,000 just for doing that. So this is why it's so important to prioritize. And it makes it really hard because there's a natural conflict of interest with influencers. So an influencer wants to create videos, right? So most of them, they make their livelihood. I don't make my livelihood off YouTube. This month I've made like $800, but typically I made $100. And if you look back, I've been making videos for about 2 years. Now, the reality is I have a full-time job. I get paid big time, in my real life. So I don't need to make videos. I make videos to update you guys, not for sort of the money. And what I would say here is a lot of people on Twitter and some on YouTube, there's some good ones, right? Like, there are a few people that I've heard of that I've checked into. They're pretty good. But for the most part, most people are sitting there trying to just post whatever they can to get engagement, to get eyeballs, to get views, and that gets them money, right? Whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube. Me, I'm going to keep telling you guys the same thing. I'm here to focus on the fundamentals, how to sort of make you maximize, which is why I don't like posting tons of videos on all these new protocols, because they're just diverting your attention from what's important. In my opinion, Atom is great, Injective is great, but focus on Celestia first, then Dymension, then Atom, then Injective, in that order. If you can't, if you're just like, hey, I can only do Celestia, then just do Celestia. Then if you got extra money, then do Dymension. If you got extra money, then do Atom. And if you got extra money, then do Injective. Those are the only 4 I would touch. Everything else, only buy if you've got like money sort of flowing out of your pockets and you want to speculate on things like Kujira, Osmosis, whatever. Have your fundamentals taken care of. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a second. But before we do, make sure, if you haven't already, I meant to do this in the previous video. In fact, somebody in the private group said, hey, how come you didn't tell people about the proposal? And I was like, I forgot to one of the problems with doing live streams is when I'm preparing, sometimes I forget to put something in. So I'll like sort of pull a bunch of windows out to remind me. And then if I don't pull it into the main screen, like this one I'm showing here, you don't see it. But fear not, you have another 3 days left to vote on this protocol. I would recommend, if you haven't already, that you do it. It's the first Dymension governance. And I think it's going to matter a big deal in a future reward. So if you haven't already, make sure you do that, okay? One more thing for Berachain. So this is one of the better test nets, although the experience has not been great. They have 2 more quests. So you can go on here, and if you go to quests, obviously I've linked all of this. You can do both the quests. The quests are very social media relevant. Also, once you're done, go to Mint and make sure that you grab your lucky envelope. So you click on grab your lucky envelope. It says switch networks. I'm going to show you. I've already done this, but you can sort of use your Honey token to buy this. I would use Honey because it's probably the easiest to get. And if you don't know how to sort of get more Honey, just go to the faucet on Berachain, and literally it's open now, and it will give you a bunch of, I think it's STG USDC. You can convert it to Honey if you want. I have a guide on the channel showing you how to do that. One more thing I want you guys to focus on, and this is very important. We talk about fundamentals. Most people probably haven't done this. It's called Gitcoin Passport. With everybody and their mother starting to like create airdrop farms, it is becoming more and more important for protocols to start making sure that every single person is an individual identity. And I know, I had some comments from people that I know saying, hey, like, I don't like this because, I don't want to like give any more information about myself. And I get it. But the reality is, I think this is a net positive in the space for one massive reason. If you have that person who's making 100 farm accounts, how are they going to create this many passports? Maybe they create 3 because they find one from their girlfriend or their mom or their dad or their cousin. But with the absence of it, trying to create this and duplicate this is very hard. And I expect this to be fundamental for sort of airdrops moving forward, especially to claim it. In fact, if you go to ZK Sync, which is a very popular protocol that I've been talking about, and I'm going to make a much bigger video, to join their guild, you need to be level 15, and then to sort of join their sort of the next level, it's level 20. And there are some really easy things you can do. Like you can go to your Ethereum activity and sort of activate that. You can, attach your Google account, your Discord account. You can sort of, ZK Sync as well, GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn. And there are other things you can do, like showing your identity. I'm going to make a more in-depth video around Gitcoin and GTC staking and sort of how to build this up, because I truly think, once again, we talk about fundamentals. You guys got to prioritize this. I think if you don't have this, you may be caught off guard. And then after, you just have to import your stamps on chain. But don't worry, I will make a video showing you how you do all this. Another fundamental bedrock that I think is important is EigenLayer. So EigenLayer really secures the Ethereum protocol. And with all the sort of narratives coming up around L2 and Ethereum, I think, and we saw this with AltLayer, right? They looked at EigenLayer restake points. You want to gain at least a significant amount of points. So what I've chosen to do, so I have 3 Ethereum-ish, like 3.1 staked here, 2 on another wallet, so I have 5 in total. And my goal here is to earn the sort of required number of points. It was 750 with AltLayer. We'll see what it is for the next protocol. Once I'm done that, then I can withdraw my ETH from EigenLayer. It's usually a 7-day waiting period, a lockup period, and then I can swap it out. But then I sort of qualify, because basically this is like you paying your dues. They want to see that you're somebody who gets an airdrop is somebody who's, important and loyal to the ecosystem. So that's why I strongly believe if you're doing your fundamentals, you have your EigenLayer restake points. Now, I think you can sort of buy them and trade them on whale market. Honestly, I don't know if that's true. And also there could be an EigenLayer airdrop in the future. So this is another important thing. But I think that all sort of EVM protocols, especially the Ethereum-based ones, will be looking at seeing, are you there supporting the other protocols on their come up? So this is very important. Make sure you're not sleeping on it. And by the way, sorry to say this, I wish I could have done this before. I did mention how important this was. The deposits are frozen again. So if you wanted to get more deposited, you can't. There are ways around it. For example, on Swell, you can go to restake your Ethereum. So not staking, which is what I recommended first, but you can stake your Ethereum for RSW ETH, and it will earn you EigenLayer points, as far as I understand. So this is something that you can look at doing, but I truly think that if you're looking at fundamentals, this is a big part of it. Now, I did talk about layer 0, and I think layer 0 is something that you really have to keep on top of your mind. I know I just made a video on it, but if you haven't seen it already, watch this video. It's very important. I highlight the strategy. I'm not here talking about, oh, it would be nice to do this and all this stuff. No, I'm telling you what the fundamentals of layer 0 are, and how you can go from sort of having 0 as your score, like having nothing, to being in the top 50%, top 30% in a few days. So make sure you watch that video. And one thing I will say is something I didn't realize is if you don't have the premium access, you're unable to see all the data that I showed. So it's up to you to decide, there are other ways to figure this out, especially if you're starting from scratch. You know that, none of them are there. So you can actually go and check the Dune protocol that I showed, the link, and it shows you all the source and destination chains. And you can just go, okay, well, I haven't done any, so I can start from scratch. The other option is to go get lifetime access, which is sort of what I did for mine. And all you got to do, it costs like $4.61, and you get to see it for all of these protocols. Layer 0, ZK Sync, Starknet, Linea, Scroll, Polygon. All of these are going to have big airdrops Polygon ZK EVM. All of these are going to have very big airdrops. It's $4.61. That is nothing if you think about sort of what that investment looks like. So up to you guys. You could do it the hard way, or you could do it the easy way. So that's an option for you. Just keep in mind, somebody I know did it recently. Once you do it, they sort of apply that data to your wallet, to the address, and you're unable to see that for quite a bit of time. So then you have to wait. You may have to wait half a day to a full day. Now, ZK Sync is another one, and something that came up today, very interesting. I posted about it earlier. It's called Sync Swap on Twitter, and there's this whole movement around ERC 404s. So the idea here is you can take an NFT, and now you can make it tradable basically, but not like, you trade it one NFT for something else. You can actually like trade like sort of portions of them. You can trade and pool them on platforms. So it's very interesting. They have a 404 wrapper. I mentioned 2 hours ago, I had done it. Like I had swapped it, but I learned something and I wanted to try something out. So I swapped it back, and I want to be very transparent with you guys on my findings. But the first thing I will say to you guys is, I have been posting, not regularly, but I have brought this collection up on screen a couple times. I expect this collection's price to still continue to trend upwards. I know ZK Sync said in the future they may have a way for people to get more of these, but it unlocks a special room in the ZK Sync Discord. So obviously there's a purpose. It is the first on ZK Sync for the ERC 404, right? So I think it's very important. And one thing you guys should know is there are, I don't know if there's rarities around this, but something here, so this is revealed as no. Once they get revealed, you have to be very careful of wrapping this in a 404. And here's why. And this is something no one's going to tell you. If you wrap this into a 404 and then you want to redeem it, you don't get back your original NFT. You get back one at random, one that's available. So if you've got an extra rare NFT and you wrap it like this, once you unwrap it, you lose all of that. So you actually, because you're getting a sort of generic token, it's redeemable at random for whatever's in the pool. So if you got like a worse one, sure. If you got like the floor version, fantastic. But if you got a rare one, you'd be a sucker to do this, in my opinion. Because right now, at least the way I understand it, you would literally give up your premium attributes of your NFT, and then you get this wrapped. Once you trade it back, you'll get whatever's available. So it could be way worse. So for those of you who are looking at, wrapping 404 your NFTs, be very careful. You don't got a good one that you're sitting on that, you would be unhappy with if you got the floor, because that's what you should expect. Okay. And if you want to do that, let me just sort of connect this again. What this does is, on SyncSwap's website, you can go in. If you have an NFT in balance for this, you can go here, get started, and I can go to wrap my NFT, take me there, and I just press the button. You see, this is a different number when I had it. I confirm it, and it will do it. And if I did that, I could then go to pool on the top, and I can go to sort of, let's see, pool and question mark here. So pools, all pools. So now what I will do is let me look for Libertas. So over here, it's right here below. So if I go enter here, now you can see that there were $757 worth of fees that were generated in the last 24 hours. 230.9 Libertas are sort of staked at this sort of kind of equivalence, right? 0.103 is the current price in the pool. I'm not ready to jump in on this yet for a couple of reasons. One, what happens if my NFT goes to 0.997, right? Also, what also happens if ZK Sync does a snapshot and I have the token instead of the NFT? Until these questions are answered, I'm not comfortable jumping in, but I wanted to cover this so you guys know, because I'm sure this is going to make the rounds on crypto Twitter and going to make the rounds on YouTube. So I just wanted you guys to know all this stuff before you jumped into something, okay? So that's just something we want to talk about. And with that, I talked for half an hour. My voice is getting a little rough. Let's see what everyone's saying. DR Darkness says, get that Libertas Omnibus if you haven't already. That's right. So when I first talked about it a few weeks ago, it was 0.07. It's gone up almost 50% in that time. I think it'll keep going up. Yes, there's a potential there's more released, but I think it's a premium thing. The faucet just keeps saying it's empty for me. If you're referring to Satoshi VM, just keep trying it. It said the same thing for me, and then I got like 0.01. Now I recognize that's not a lot, but it adds up over time. I believe it resets every 8 to 16 hours, so you can check that. Do you think it's worth keeping my TIA on Stride? I'm making 0.76. Well, I think you guys know how I feel about that now. I had 2.3, I believe, if I look it up. I got 2.32 today, and I got rid of mine, so it should tell you what I think. A week or so ago, yeah. So this is sort of where I stand. So I took mine out, and I think there's better uses for it. Gene Gress says, I donated my Satoshi VM testnet back, but there's a minimum. Yes, exactly. So there's a minimum of 0.05, which is why they opened up that TBTC faucet to help people get there. So you've still got time. There's like 180 TBTC that's sort of needed, but who knows? Yo-Yo Street, I'm pretty sure holding my SCTI will give me TIA airdrops. That's not what they said. So they said something very, very differently. They did not imply that. In fact, Milky Way implied that, and then I found out it wasn't true. So what I'm saying is you guys got to be very careful. The minimal amounts they're going to give you by staking here, especially when this has come down so much, is just not worth it, considering the massive amount of gains you'll get from a Celestia airdrop or a Dymension airdrop. They cannot confirm 100 until Stride comes out and says, "Hey, we will give you 100. We'll make sure you get 100% of the rewards from SCTIA or Milk does the same thing." Until then, we're not going to do it. We got lucky that with EigenLayer they had an agreement. This is not the case. It's not 100%. Yo-Yo Street, don't you think it's still a good idea to have some osmosis? Didn't osmosis get TIA? It got a tiny bit, but nothing even close. If not, I'm sure Atom and Osmosis will qualify. Yes, they will. And I'll tell you something, as somebody who used to be super bullish on Atom and Osmosis, I had Atom Osmosis in the last cycle when Osmosis was $8, when Atom was 40. So like, this is not me coming in here, not knowing stuff and sort of telling you guys what I think. What I'm telling you guys is there's a rotation and we've got to go with the narrative. It's not about being hopium, right? It's not about hopium. So yes, we will qualify for airdrops. And yes, Atom and Osmosis will. But the value and the quality of those airdrops will be trash, in my opinion, overall. The biggest ones, the ones where we want to make the most money. Because remember, this is a game of PvP, right? We are trying to get the most with the smallest amount. So for me, that's Celestia and Dymension, focusing there. I would rather do that and qualify 100% of the time for Celestia and Dymension airdrops than have it filtered down, qualify like 30% of the time with Celestia, qualify 100% of the time with Osmosis, but then the Osmosis airdrops are like $5, $10, $3, 10 cents, whatever. So while they did give Osmosis for Dymension, it was a small amount, and we haven't seen anything beyond that. So like I said, it's not to say you shouldn't have any Osmosis. I'm talking about prioritizing. The priority should be Celestia, then Dymension, then Atom, then Injective. And if you've got money left over, sure, go for Osmosis. But make sure you have the fundamental bedrock of your portfolio built out. Brown Gent, you can simply make a new Kepler and transfer your MetaMask seed there. Yes, I understand, but here's the problem with doing that. If some people, right? So like, I'll give you an example. I have a bunch of virus scanning here. I'm pretty sure I don't have malware. Despite that, I will not take my seed phrase and type it into my computer to vote for the new proposal, right? So I do not want to risk that, because if my seed phrase gets exposed in any sort of way, that's it. So I think it's very irresponsible on the part of the Dymension team, and I told them that yesterday or 2 days ago when I was having that issue. Those who have ledgers are luckier because it should transfer over seamlessly with a few exceptions. They are working on the portal having governance voting, so it should be up, but it likely won't be up before February 13th. I use Trezor on MetaMask. Can I do the same? Plasma, I wish I could answer. I literally have no idea. I wish I could tell you. I have zero clue. Yo-Yo Street, that's exactly what happened to me. My DYM had made up a new wallet and I can't get my funds. So just to be clear, your funds for Dymension are sitting like, so you sent money to a wallet you can't access. If that's the case, I would go to their Discord and find out exactly how you could sort of get through. Gene Gress, so the TIA staked, you had to do it early, like I think it was like early December. and you have to have at least one to get Dymension. Some people missed out on it, so it sucks, but that's what it is. And this is why it's so important. Have your bases covered. If you have Celestia covered, trust me, you're not going to be worrying about missing $5 or $10 or even $50 on osmosis, because Celestia, that's where the modular technology is going to support the biggest protocols. BERA, yeah, Berachain, exactly. I swapped 60 ST-TIA for 60 TIA like you recommended. I currently have 36 staked. Would you recommend staking more TIA or swapping for Dymension? So I think that's fine. So it depends. How much Dymension do you have? If you don't have any, if you didn't get any in the airdrop, try to have at least... trying to think of it. What's the price right now? $7. Try to have at least 50 to 75 Dymension if you could. I would ideally recommend more TIA. So like try to get to 50. If you can get to 100, even better. But the higher you go on sort of TIA staking, and I showed it in a previous video, only I think less than 10% of people have over 100 TIA staked. So I'm looking at qualifying for future tiers. Celestia stakers, there's been a ton of different tiers, right? So I want as much as possible to be in the next higher tiers. Now I won't be the top tier, right? Because I don't have, 100,000 TIA staked. But if I can get into like the top 10 percentile of one, ideal. But 35 as a minimum is great. Is SmartLayer airdropping? I'm not sure what SmartLayer is. Can you give me some more details? I connected my Kepler to the DYM portal before staking Dymen on it. Now it shows the staking also in my Kepler. I guess I'm good. Yes, then you are good. If that's what you did, then it's fantastic. You have it in your DYM portal, but you can go in Kepler and do it. Go vote on governance there. I really hope it's not too late for others. No, it's not too late. Plasma, like guys, like this is the most common thing I hear. People will tell you it's too late because they don't want you farming it and taking away from them. I made a video guide. Please, Plasma, watch this video guide. I show you the criteria that matter. Yes, time is one criteria. There are so many other criteria as well. And we are in like, mid-February. The bottom criteria typically is 2 months. So get your Feb and your March transactions in. Easy game. That gives you 2 different months and that qualifies you as as one of the bottom gates. But your source chains is probably the easiest gate that you can change in the short term. So please watch that video. I think you'll be surprised how easy this is. Do you farm BERA, Prism, and other test chains? Yes, I do. In fact, I have videos on all of those on the channel. You can watch it. But like I said, I would not focus on those before like making sure you have the fundamentals in place, right? So layer 0, ZK Sync, Polyhedra, right? Like those are the things that matter. Hyperlane, right? Scroll, Linea. These are the things that are very important. The BERA, the Prisms, whatever, just do it once, get it over with, get your Metis chain out there, do it. But really focus on the big boys because Berachain may pay us $20. Layer 0 may pay us 4,000. So like, I would rather focus on that. And with those things, not that I don't want to say they're time sensitive, but the more time you have, the better, because there are some gates which you'll need to do it over a couple of weeks, couple of months. Milky Way announced an airdrop. Yes, so here's what they said. Milky Way said this. They're going to provide endpoints. Endpoints will be transferred into some version of Milk. Not one-to-one. We don't know yet. But they said that the more Milk TIA used to have staked, the bigger the multiplier will be. So what happens is this allows whales to squeeze people out even more exponentially out of it. So until they show more clear tokenomics, I'm staying out of Milk TIA. That's just my thought. I saw information instantly after purchasing Lifetime. Okay, perfect. Hey, you got lucky. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear. And by the way, this is what I mean. I don't get anything for people signing up for this. I just want people to sort of know what's out there and set you guys up to be doing the right thing so that 6 months from now when the bull market takes off, you guys have received a ton of funds from airdrops that will really pull you through. Should we stake Dymension with Kepler or MetaMask? I would stake with Kepler if you haven't already. The majority did stake through the portal on MetaMask, and that's because the team did a horrible job on explaining what the up and downsides are. The reality is, if you can't vote on governance on MetaMask through EVM on their portal, then why exactly would you want to stake there? It actually chops one of your legs off. I've always said governance voting is so important, especially the inaugural one. So if you haven't done it already, stake Dymension on Kepler. If you have one omnibus, would you buy another for a different wallet? It's a good question. I think that the price of the Liberty omnibus will continue to go up, especially if people realize sort of you can stake this, sort of the ERC 404 movement has been, it's kind of like what the BTC or BRC movement was a few months ago. I would definitely have it on another wallet, and then you can potentially list it for sale as well. But I would, if you buy a second one, don't keep it on the same wallet. It's pointless unless you're selling it right away. But even then, put it on another wallet so you get the snapshot if it happens. If I have over 200 on TIA validators, is it worth to sell something remaining to buy and stake 206? So it's hard, right? Like the challenge I have with answering this question is I got like 5K worth of Dymension over a couple wallets. So for me, it's not, I didn't really spend like the $7 per Dymension token to get it. We don't know what that lower gate's going to be on Dymension, but maybe 50 to 75 might get you started. I think that should be good enough for now. And then obviously once we've seen the first airdrop come out around like what they're looking for, what the gates look like, as well as once we check on-chain activity to see, what percentile does everyone have staked with Dymension, right, using smart stake, then we can potentially see where we should have our staking out. The only reason I staked over 200 in Dymension, or 205 at least, is because they gave 205 for free to even one Celestia staker. So it would be very neat to see them do that, or have a special bonus for those who did it because it's loyalists, right? Thanks for answering my question, bro. You're like, yeah, not a problem, dude. Hey man, here we go. Hey man, you don't have to import your private key. You can connect. Yes, exactly. So if you've got a ledger, you can do that. That's what I did. But if you don't have a ledger, this is where you run into trouble. So as I mentioned, for people with ledgers, it's easy for the most part, right? You connect it, you're good to go. However, if you don't have a ledger, then you'd have to do something manually, and that's who I'm looking out for. It's not about me because it was easy for me to do this. It's for the others who can't. And for the others who can't, don't listen to people and put your private key out there. You just expose yourself to risk for really nothing. It's not worth it. Is ZK Sync too late to start farming? No. Once again, I'm going to make a video, but once again, I tell you guys, please, you need to get started as soon as possible because there are some time limiting gates, but there are other ways for you to push your score up. Don't think it's too late. People will tell you it's too late because they don't want you diluting them. That's just the reality of it. A lot of people in crypto, they would be much happier if I never talked about Layer 0 and ZK Sync, because if that happened, hey, it's easier for them to keep a higher rank, and it's also much more money for them. Aiko says, I'm farming Layer 0 13 months. ZK also, do you think how Matters Labs will filter? We don't know how they're going to filter. My thing is, I think if ZK Sync comes out first and they use Gitcoin Passport, we may see Layer 0 do much of the same. We'll be interested to see what the criteria is for Wormhole, because I think Wormhole's criteria will really help us refine what Layer 0 will be looking for, because Layer 0 will also be watching and trying to learn from them. So I would say I don't know right now, but I would say right now they're going to look at source chains, destination chains, time on chain, volume, the things you see on NFT Copilot. Gene Grass, thanks for that answer. I was middle of December staking. Yeah, exactly. So you probably missed it by a day or two, which sucks. Last question. Do you think it's smart to farm ZK Sync and Linea with that capital that I take out from STTIA? Well, here's the thing. You could actually use the capital you take out of STTIA with the interoperability bridges. And by doing that and sort of moving stuff across, right? And I'm going to have a video on this soon. But basically, use that gains you the transaction. So while you're doing it and sending the funds over there, you're getting the volume and you're getting sort of transactions. And that'll help you. But I also would say one more thing I would recommend for ZK Sync especially. I know a lot of people on crypto Twitter will say, oh, send 0.1 ETH here or 0.01 ETH, do a few things, send it back. Well, I think ZK Sync is also going to look and see how much money, how much capital you left on. I know that's what I would do. If a lot of people are farming and just farming and they take the money, they put it somewhere else, they put it on another chain, well, are you really into ZK Sync or are you really just trying to take from them? So try to keep some capital on ZK Sync as well. So that's my thought. But I think, like I said, the time limiting things you have in front of you, ZK Sync, Layer 0, Linea, Scroll, Hyperlane, Polyhedra. That's why we have separate Discord channels for those in the premium membership group. And the reason for that is because we want every single person posting where they're at. Let's start working on it. Let's sort of chip away every single day, every single week, every single month, and get those gains. I already staked Dymension on MetaMask with my Trezor. Honestly, Plasma, I hate to see that, but there might be a way, because if you're using that same Trezor on Kepler, maybe it will auto detect for you the same way it did on Ledger. I've never used a Trezor, so I cannot answer that question. But with Ledger, when I sort of went over from the EVM portal to Kepler, it loaded that account. Maybe it'll work just the same for you. MetaMask bridge, I have no idea. So what do you mean? Curtis, can you do me a favor and ask the full question? Sorry, just like I'm sure you're probably asking it as I'm talking. The problem is, like, by the time I get to the comment, I don't have the context, and unless it's like very obvious to me, I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Have you set up multiple Gitcoin passwords? No, I only have one, and this is what I mean. It gets harder. It gets really, really hard to duplicate that because you've got to give like personal stuff. So I had to give my personal LinkedIn, my Twitter account. I only have 2 Twitter accounts, right? I have a personal one and I have one I use for this channel. I have one Discord account. So there's a ton of things, and even that doesn't get you across the threshold. So this is why it's so great to sort of prevent people from excessively farming by adding these things, right? So this is why, I want to recap for you guys. Celestia staking, Dymension staking. Those are my top 2 priorities in IBC. Yes, add them, inject them after if you want. Get your Gitcoin passport. Get EigenLayer ready. Those are very, very important. Have a hardware wallet. Like, literally, please, I don't want to see someone get scammed. If you can create your sort of ledger or buy a ledger or whatever to put all this stuff in there and keep it all secure, that's your 2-factor authentication device. I can sleep easier at night knowing that. Of course, there's other things you've got to do to protect yourself, like not clicking on phishing links and stuff, but it's so important that you guys have those fundamentals. For the layer 0 source, where do you get Genosis? Also, ETH source, high price. Yeah, exactly. So you have to prioritize. What I would say for ETH is wait till it comes down. Usually Friday night was actually very cheap. It feels like everyone on the chain was at the nightclub or something. I don't know what was going on, but it seemed much lower by 3x last night. So just go to Etherscan, check when the gas prices are lower. Fantastic. For layer 0, what you can do actually is go to Merkle. I put that in the video. Send some token from Arbitrum over to Genosis, and it will help you sort of get that done. Also in Wenzer, it shows you some websites that you can use. I believe I used a website for CeeLo to Genosis as well. That helped me secure those chains yesterday. Because remember, yesterday I was 200,000th in ranking. Today I'm 37,000. So bringing it down, I want to be in the top 0.05% of layer 0 people. And you can do that too. There will be some things that you can't do right away, the time, whatever, but you can do a lot of other things. And that's what I want you guys to take away. People will tell you it's too late to keep you from doing it, okay? Genexer says, best decision I made was joining the Web through Secret Sales. I'm glad to hear you say that. Highly recommend, but don't want too many others to join and crowd the Discord. Yeah, and to be fair, like I said, I think we got 30-something people in there right now. At some point, I will be looking to close it and only have it opened up when we have some free spots, with attrition or whatever. But right now, it's not too bad. I'm going to see what we can do. We might even change platforms off YouTube. Just so you guys know, YouTube takes 40% or 35% of the funds. And, I want to use this stuff, the money there, to buy the tools and buy the access to certain things that could really help the group. Kepler doesn't support Trezor. I just checked. Okay, well. So then here's the thing. That's a big problem. So this is why I'd recommend, if you can, get a Ledger device. I don't like Trezor. I have tried literally the others. I have a Keystone. I've got a Lattice. I've got a Ledger. Ledger is probably the only one I've seen that does all of it and does it very well. Veer says, I hope every Bitcoin, a big airdrop does Gitcoin Passport. Yeah, me too. I think this is the best way for us to have like a way to protect the average person. I don't want, like, I think people should only get 1, maybe 2 layer drop, whatever, or 1 or 2 ZK sync. I don't want to see people get like 10 of those. In Arbitrum, we saw people get 20 to 30 wallets, getting tens of thousands of dollars. And that took away from others who could have got some. So I want to see them cut stuff out. I want to see them use more gates, because every single one of you watching this is real, unless you're a bunch of robots that were programmed or something to sort of watch this content or whatever. I imagine every single one of you can do all this. And I think we can all win together, you know? I think Stakesito posted a tutorial video on how to send Dymension from MetaMask to Kepler. So I've shown you guys on my video how to do it, sending it from EVM to IBC, but not if you've already staked it. So it will be interesting to see if he shows a video on how you can take your already staked Dymension, right? It's not about sending Dymension, because that's easy, right? We'll show you how to withdraw the funds. It's about taking your staked funds and getting them recognized on Kepler without having to unstake and wait 21 days. That is the question that we want to answer. Angle is the source for CeeLo and Genosis. Good to know. I don't have it in front of me, but actually, wait, do I? No, I don't. But basically, you know, all you got to do, get Wenzer. If you can get the lifetime access for $3, I think it's worth it. You know, you can literally do this, or maybe it's $4, but you can literally get all the insights you need to create the proper plan for all those chains. And then you guys don't have an excuse. And honestly, it would mean so much to me if you guys could come back here whenever this is done in that layer 0 video or the other videos I post. Tell me where you were at when you saw the video, and tell me how much you ended up getting because you decided, hey, it's not too late. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to farm this, and I'm going to make it. Bonk is doing a Chinese New Year event. Bonkless was pretty lucrative. Might be worth. Interesting. I have no idea. Like, I am in Solana, but I don't really mess with the meme coins that much. Not your key, not your crypto. Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. Guys, thanks for watching. I actually have a showing in about half an hour, so I'm going to get ready for that. But as always, if you haven't already, like the video. It really helps the channel. You know, big time. You know, I really appreciate all the engagement we're getting. Like the video, share the video. Also, we've got the sort of private membership, as you've heard. We do a ton of things there. Our goal here is to just get everyone up to speed as soon as possible, the latest alpha, but also getting people the big airdrops, making sure we're all sort of in the right direction. So if you want that sort of white glove service, extra coaching, guidance, and support, make sure you check it out. With that being said, I want to thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.